All right, today we are still talking about slope-intercept form, but we're going to introduce another form of a linear equation, which is standard form. And so standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by is equal to c, where a, b, and c are numbers. So a, b, and c represents a number, and x and y are two of my variables. So this is standard form of a linear equation. So what we're going to learn how to do is take standard form of a linear equation and write it in slope-intercept form. And the only way we do that is by rearranging the formula. And we are rearranging ax plus by is equal to c into y is equal to mx plus b. Basically, we're just solving equations with more than one variable. And when we want to convert an equation to slope-intercept form, we always want to isolate y. So that is the goal. The goal is to isolate y so it can look just like y is equal to mx plus b. All right, so number one says 2x plus y is equal to 3. The goal is to isolate y because that is how I'm solving it to put it in slope-intercept form. So we're going to use inverse operations. So everything we did was solving equations, literally doing the same thing. So solving. Well, what is over here with my y? 2x. So I need 2x to be on the other side of my equation because notice mx, it's on the other side of the equal sign. Nothing is over here with the y. So that is the goal. I want nothing to be over here. So how do I move 2x from here to here? Well, I subtract it. So subtract 2x from this side. Then you already know that means that I got to do what to the other side? Subtract 2x. Notice when I subtracted 2x from the other side that I did not line it up with that 3. So when I subtracted 2x from this side, I didn't line it up with 3. Why not? Because they're not like terms. Well, if I have 2x's and my mommy take my 2x's away, how many do I have? None. And I bring down my y. Now remember, I want it to look like y is equal to mx plus b. Therefore, y is equal to negative 2x plus 3, where I can identify what my slope is and my y-intercept. So my slope is negative 2, and my y-intercept is a positive 3 because m stands for slope and b stands for my y-intercept. All right, number 2. 4x plus 5y is equal to negative 30. And I want to isolate y because that's how I want to put it in slope-intercept form. That means, well, what's over here with it? 4x is being added to it and 5 is being multiplied to it. So I want to move this 4x to the other side. How do I do it? By inverse operation. So the opposite of adding 4x is subtracting 4x. And if I subtract it from one side, I subtract it from the other side. Notice when I subtracted 4x from the other side, I didn't line it up with negative 30 because they're not the same, not like terms. So, well, this cancels. Bring down my 5y, negative 4x minus 30. But notice y is still not isolated because I want to isolate y. So what's happening is being multiplied to 5. Well, what is the opposite of multiplying by 5? It's dividing by 5. So I must divide every term by 5. Why am I struggling? So I must divide this side by 5, this term by 5, and this term by 5. Well, 5 divided by 5, which leaves me with y. Well, it's negative 4 over 5 in its simplest form. It is. I don't want decimals because we're about to start graphing with this. So I need it to be a fraction because that's telling me this to rise over run. All right. So negative 4/5 x, negative 30 divided by 5 is a negative 6. So now I can identify because it says y is equal to negative 4/5 x minus 6. Basically, y is equal to mx plus b. So my slope is negative 4/5 and my y-intercept is a negative 6. Two more examples. All right, number 3. We got x minus 3y is equal to 12, and we want to put this in slope-intercept form by solving for y. All right, so what's over here with y? What's happening? X is being added to it, and negative 3 is being multiplied. So first I want to move x to the other side. So how do I move x to the other side? I subtract it from both sides. Notice when I subtracted x from both sides, I did not line x up with 12 because they're not like terms. Well, this cancels, and I get negative 3y is equal to negative x plus 12. Well, I'm still trying to isolate y because in slope-intercept form, y is solo dolo. No number in front. So negative 3 is being multiplied to y. The opposite of multiplying negative 3 is dividing negative 3. And I got to divide it by all terms. Well, this cancels. And I get y is equal to remember the magic number in front of this x is a 1. I use my magic color. So negative 1 divided by negative 3 gives me a positive 1/3 x. And positive 12 divided by negative 3 gives me a negative 4. I can identify my slope as 1/3 and my y-intercept as a negative 4. Last example. X minus y is equal to negative 8. I need to isolate y so it can be in slope-intercept form, which is y is equal to mx plus b. So got this x over here with it. I need to move x to the other side. You might notice a pattern. Most of the time when we're writing it in slope-intercept form, we're always just moving the x to the other side. So the opposite of adding 1x is subtracting it. Notice how every time I subtract it from the other side of the equation, I never line it up with a term that ain't the same because they're not like terms. Well, this cancels. Bring down my negative y. Now notice I still need to isolate y. It is not isolated if it is a negative in front of it. So it's actually a negative 1 in front of it. So what is the opposite of being multiplied by negative 1? Well, dividing by negative 1. And as always, you got to divide everything by negative 1. Well, this cancels, and I'm left with y is equal to another magic 1 in front of it. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 gives me a positive 1. Negative 8 divided by negative 1 gives me a positive 8. And I can identify my slope as 1 and my y-intercept, aka my b, as a positive 8. If there are any other questions, please feel free to ask me in class.